Hey guys, it's metal casting time again. If you saw my last casting video, you'll know that I did a Lost Resin Casting experiment to incorporate gems into the casting process. You'll also know that that experiment failed, as happens sometimes. So today I'll be trying again. You'll recall I designed a skull specifically to include 2 garnets. I incorporated an insert, and the goal was that through the casting process, the gems and metal would become integral. And whilst the process itself was promising, I ultimately failed. The first thing I did was revisit the design and add a hollowed out section to the rear of the ring. And the purpose of this is purely to reduce the weight and lower the overall metal content. The second thing I did was get some more gems, and these are 100% real rubies, and I think they're gorgeous. The only issue is that they were grown in a lab. Yes, they're synthetic gems, but they're chemically identical to mined gems, except they generally have less flaws and they cost pennies. I bought 10 of these for just £1.30 each, and they're every bit as real as I need them to be. This one here spent a night in my burnout oven, soaking at 750 degrees Celsius. As you can see, there's no colour change that I can discern, and importantly, it survived the heating process, which is hopefully a good sign. This time I printed with SIRAYA Cast, using the PHROZEN Mini 8K, and these are the settings that I used. I was very pleased with the print results. After cleaning and curing, the print went a little patchy in places, but this is quite normal and nothing to worry about. Now it was time for casting. Hang on a moment, there's a tip here that I don't think I've shared with you. Most of these investment powders don't like ordinary tap water, as it often contains chlorine, fluoride and various other chemicals and trace metals. These impurities can have a detrimental effect on your castings. For this reason, companies often recommend deionized or distilled water. Now, there is an arguable difference in purity between these two, but rather than buy deionized water, I collect rainwater, which after all is distilled by nature. Okay, rainwater picks up dirt and contaminants on the way to the barrel, but look how the barrel is designed. Look at where my outlet is. Anyone familiar with my vegoilguy filtration systems will know how much I love settling. And for this purpose, settling simply means that all the dirt falls below the outlet height. So as long as it's sat there for a few days, everything above this level is nice and clean, but I filter anyway. This is where my filtering funnel really comes in handy, and you may recall seeing this on my IPA recycling video. Place an ordinary coffee filter in a standard funnel and it will quickly block off, meaning that the filter has to be replaced. But my filtering funnel allows much more of the filter paper to work, meaning it's faster and doesn't block off. So I trickle water from the barrel into a filtering funnel through a coffee filter, waiting 10 minutes or so for the container to fill. And this is very clean distilled water, ideal for use with investment powders. And this water alone may help improve the quality of your castings. You can design and print your own filtering funnel easily enough, or if you want to help support your old mate Vog, you can buy my STL file directly from my Etsy store. After that, it's virtually limitless free distilled water. Hold on a second, don't quench, you idiot. Last week, many of you wrote in to say, it was thermal shock, you dimwit. That's what fractured your gems, and I can't believe I didn't see that for myself. The very hot gem instantly touching cold water made the gem fracture like glass. So this time, I left the flask to cool down naturally over an hour. Quenching cold plaster is pointless. It doesn't separate and remains firm. So I took a metal scraper and simply scraped at the surface. Working in thin layers like this actually moves the plaster surprisingly well. Many folks prefer to use a jet wash and blast out the plaster, but for me this was faster and cleaner than setting up the jet wash. I'm often amazed how a good long screw can make everything better, and it certainly does in this case. It might not be the proper tool for the job, but what is? And this certainly works well. After a quick wash and brush in soapy water, it was looking very promising. The gems were in place and the casting looked okay. It wasn't perfect, but not too bad. However, there was a lot of trapped plaster there, so I placed the ring in an ultrasonic cleaner for about an hour. It survived and was still looking pretty good. Here, I decided to paint the whole ring with liver of sulfur. This creates a chemical reaction that darkens the metal, so it shouldn't matter if some get onto the gems. Actually, I quite like that. Now I'll just lightly brush and then polish. I'm actually very pleased with this. It's not my best casting, but the gems within the casting process was a complete success. So if you're thinking of doing this, synthetic rubies seem to work very well, and for me the colour is amazing. The sharp-eyed amongst you may have spotted a flaw in the skull's left eye. I certainly did. This flaw is emphasised here by the plaster. But if we revisit earlier footage, to me it does look as though that flaw was already there. It may have gotten a tiny bit worse, but it was there before the casting process began. Maybe I chipped it, maybe it was already flawed. I should have simply paid more attention before casting. So again, this means the process was a success, and the synthetic gems cast in place without damage. Before I finish, a few of you guys have already asked if the file for this skull ring is available to buy. So I've added a gem-free version of this skull ring on my Etsy store. However, if any of you guys who buy this STL file fancy trying the gemmed version, I'll happily send you that version as well. Just get in touch with me at the time. And do give synthetic gems a try. They're stupidly cheap and perfect for amateur casting purposes. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this casting experiment. So take care and thanks for watching.